Big up football fans near and far. It's your boy Deji Spurs, and I'm back. And to be honest with you, I hate the international break. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. If there's a way that teams could just get to the World Cup and the European Championships without playing, without having an international break, let's do it. Because I don't know about you, the international break seems to be getting dustier and dustier each year. So I know it's a World Cup year, and maybe we reduce the international kind of matches or friendlies to World Cup years, European years, African nation years, something. But it's too much and it's too boring in the location. I don't see why we can't have the whole world just play, and then you just have these knockouts, and makes it more interesting. I'm not being too disrespectful, but some of the fixtures, do you know what I'm saying? Is it like the Netherlands versus Lithuania? I mean, come on, man. This is dusted and tooting can't move. Anyway, I'm about big up to Artillero, you know. He says here, I would love it if I supported your dusty club. Yes, Artillero, we would love to have you. And I want to bait up Artillero because he's my nemesis here. And I don't think Artillero would mind me saying that this guy was spotted in the location near my club. So big up to you, Artillero. Big up to Ghosted. Big up to you, my family. So look, I'm jumping on early because I'm struggling to get to do any streams in the evening to talk about every team's transfer window. Look, let me just caveat a couple of things. Don't get it twisted. I didn't spend time sussing out every single player, working it out, doing the numbers. I took it from a global view in, looked at the teams, looked at the signings they made, and I've made my own kind of prediction based on what they've done. What I would love, though, for those of you that support these teams, can you confirm in the location whether you agree with my assessment or whether you don't? And if you don't, can you put an argument as to why you do not agree? And we can go toe to toe, and I'm happy to see if we can do something over the weekend. Do you know what I mean? To kind of talk about it further. So big up to everyone that's locked in, locked on. So this is my Premier League teams transfer window ranking, and I'm going to be starting from the bottom, working my way up. Hopefully this won't take too long. Smash a like, let me know what you think, and then I've got another show later on this evening. But let me stop waffling and get straight into it right now. The first club that I would like to say, I think they've had the worst transfer window so far. Adita says we're going back to back, maybe 7th Champions League, brother. Yeah, bro, we'll see. We'll see. I think we can do better than that, actually. And I'm gonna, when we get to our club, I'm gonna explain why. But let me deal with the dust. I'm talking about, this is not my prediction in terms of the club. This is my rating in terms of the transfer for the club. So this is not where I think you're gonna finish in the league. I'm just rating the transfers that you brought into your club and whether you think your club would be better. So without further ado, let's talk about the first club. The first club for me, the worst transfer window in the Premier League season 25-26 has to be Fulham. I think this transfer window is dusty. Take a look at them names. A big up to Paul in the building. Morning, Choo-Choo. Big up Wayne in the building. Let me explain. What is Fulham doing? Last season, under Marco Silva, Fulham was moving mad. They had Iwobi cooking. They got Emil Smith-Rowe cooking. And I'm looking at Marco Silva, and I'm saying to people, Marco Silva is up there with Iriola for me in terms of really capable managers. And I wouldn't have minded Marco Silva or Iriola at Spurs before we got Thomas Frank. I'm expecting, given the season that Marco Silva had, given the limited resources he had, given the job he's done with the likes of Tim Kearney, with Robertson at left back. I mean, what he's done with Calvin Bassey. The brother has done with Muniz up top. Bring in some quality players and get cooking. This is what Fulham have brought in. And I had Emma Reynolds, big up to Emma Reynolds, locked in, locked on. She emailed me and was like, Dej, what you saying for the transfer window? And I said to her, what are you saying for Fulham's transfer window? She said, my club ain't going to support the manager. It's dusty. This is what Fulham has brought in. They've brought in Kevin. They've brought in Samuel Chikwueze, Jonah Kusa Asari, and Benjamin Lecombe. It's not good enough. Fulham was a team guaranteed top 10. Chikwueze, I think, even came from Villarreal. Once upon a time, Chikwueze was that guy. He's no longer that guy. He's no longer that guy even for the Super Eagles. So for me, I would say in the location, the worst transfer business for a club has been Fulham. I think by their standards and by the way they performed last season, this for me isn't good enough. And if I was a Fulham fan, I would be vexed. Now, Adita says this, Chikwueze was supposed to be man rejuvenated or meant to be Mane for them. If that is the case, bro, once upon a time, Chikwueze was a madman. He was doing madness in Spain in La Liga, but I can tell you now, as a fellow Super Eagle, it's really not that guy. He's really not lived up to expectation in the location. He said Chikwueze comes from Milan, but he was at Villarreal once upon a time, toxic. So I hear you. Thank you for correcting me, but it still ain't good enough. Look at that list and tell me that's good enough for Fulham. That's not good enough. Fulham should be aiming for Europe, and I don't think with these signings, they get Europe. True or false? Freddie SP says Kevin is a baller. I wanted him at Spurs. Did you? And who does he replace at Spurs, Freddie, in my opinion? I'm saying to you, this is not good enough for Fulham based on the season they had last season and us wanting them to kick on. Adita says he went from Villarreal to Milan. Makes sense, but at least we are talking about the same brother. Next one, for me, Fulham's the worst. Let me know in the comments whether you agree or disagree with me. But I think for Fulham standards, they should have been aiming for Europa Conference League. I don't think these signings get them Conference League football or higher. I think it's more dust. The next dusty team for me, and I'm saying dusty team in terms of transfer window, let's go over there to the next team is Crystal Palace. Let's go. And I think if people hear me out, you got to think from Crystal Palace perspective, they've gone from having an Eze, having an Elise. Yeah, they brought in obviously Adam Walton last year or a couple of seasons ago from Blackburn Rovers. You know, they've obviously got Marguay. They brought Lacroix. But bloody hell, mate, what the hell is this? This is dusty. I need D to come and explain what is going on in the location for his... Who are these players? And for me, it makes sense. Crystal Palace have had a dusty window. I heard that Glasner was getting ready to leave Palace had they sold Mark Gay on the last day. If they had sold Mark Gay, this club would fully be in the mud. And I'm looking at Glasner and I'm thinking, Palace fans, again, this is like another Iriola. Look what this guy has done. Remember, Glasner won the Europa League when teams were dropping from Champions League. He won the Europa League with Frankfurt. Then we said, let's look at what else Oliver Glasner can do when he comes to Palace. Let's be real. Everyone thought he was a good manager, but nobody thought this brother was going to win trophies with Palace. This brother won the FA Cup and he won the Community Shield. And this is what you give him as a thank you? Walton Benitez, Jeremy Pino, you get me, Uche and Cavot. Are we smoking Budgie Banton? Palace fans must be going absolutely ballistic where they are. I feel for them. I think I watched them against Aston Villa. That's because Glasner built a good team. But these signings, again, for me, as Crystal Palace should be aiming for minimum Europa League, for me, based on the season they had, based on the manager they've got. Can these 4 players get Crystal Palace to the Europa League? I do not think so. Now, comments in the chat says, Freddie Espy says he plays left wing. He's one of those Brazilian ballers that Shakhtar always spawn out. Fair play. And he's talking about Kevin, fair play. But is he going to do the business at Fulham? Let us see. Pino is a Spanish international. Toxic says he is good. Okay, and he's a winger, right? Could you? What position is he? No, I don't think this is good enough for Crystal Palace. I really don't. Big up Ford. I see Glasner going City or United. Look, if Glasner was happy, he would have ducked out of this joint. Ducked out if he had lost that, brother. Freddie says, off topic, I saw a lot of Bayern fans saying that Tell was a good player for them and they would happily take him back. Why is he so dusty for us? Surely there must be a player in there. And we'll talk about Tell when we get to the Spurs section. I think Reece Nelson would have improved their window. Bro, I think if Fulham had taken Reece Nelson, it would have made sense. I think if Palace had taken Reece Nelson, I would have probably taken this to a 3 or a 3.5. I'm taking Pino over Tell, who we got left out of the Tottenham Europa Conference League. Yeah, bro, but that's because Tell is moving that dusty. But I'm looking at it from a Palace fan perspective. And if I was a Palace fan with these 4 players, I'm looking at you saying not good enough. Not good enough. Every team wants to progress. Every team wants to move forward. And I would rate Palace's transfer window 2 out of 10, Fulham 2 out of 10. Let me know when we finish this, whether you agree with me or not in the location. But I don't think it's good enough for Palace. They should have bigger sights, bigger ambition in the league. Next on my list, though. Next on my list. For the next dustiest team, the third dustiest team, it's got to be Leeds. Leeds. And this is why I predicted in my transfer window roundup that Leeds is getting relegated. What the hell is this crap? What is this? Do you know what? The one signing that I actually think is decent and why I edged this over Fulham and Palace is Sean Longstaff. I watched this brother and actually he suits them and I think he'll do a good job for Leeds. I think I watched Sean against Newcastle when Leeds played Newcastle. But Calvert-Lewin, are we smoking Budgie Bunton? What the heck? Nah. Let me tell you now, who's the brother that Leeds used to have up front? Bamford. This guy, nah. This brother, Calvert-Lewin, is no Patrick Bamford. No way. No, they've just shot themselves in the foot. I don't think it's good enough for Leeds. If that's going to be your main man, then they're going straight down. I do think Longstaff is not bad. I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat say Okafor is cold. I think Okafor is all right. He might be... Who's the brother that they sold to Everton as a kind of replacement for that kind of guy? They also brought in James Justin. Come on, man. James Justin from Leicester. Brother. Do you know what I'm saying? This, for me, I gave them half a point for Sean Longstaff, to be honest. I'm not even buying these brothers talking about Okafor in the chat. Yaya says that Calvert-Lewin in 2025 is diabolical. Adita says Okafor is cold. He ain't that bad. And then he's saying DCL is not that bad. Bamford, imagine Bamford and Rafinha to this is mental. Can you imagine, bro? They had Bamford, they had Rafinha, they had the other guy on the left wing. What was his name? I think he's at Everton now. He was cold, the winger. That guy, bad man. And then this. Nah, that guy is straight down. Rubbish. Big up Geordie for LFC in the building. Yes, Harrison. Imagine, I actually liked Harrison. I thought Harrison could do a job. To this. Nah, that's why Leeds is my pick to be rock bottom. And then they just done this is even worse. Too dusty, but not as dusty as Fulham and Crystal Palace in terms of signing. They get half a point because Sean Longstaff for me. Calvert-Lewin is a name, but he's really not that guy. James Justin from Leicester. That's a relegated Leicester team. And you've got Noah Okafor. The other brothers, I can't even lie to you. I don't even know them. I don't even know them. Hope says Leeds are so dusty they made Gyökeres look good again. Bruv, Leeds are so dusty that they made Gyökeres look like Didier Drogba / Thierry Henry. That's the, in fact, they made Gyökeres look like Drogba, Henry, and Dennis Bergkamp in that game. And he scored that first goal running at slow motion. Did you see that goal? I had Arsenal fans shaking their bum. The brother was running slow motion when he scored that goal. Lewis says this is dustier than West Ham. Yeah, that's right. That's why I couldn't even put West Ham there. I had to be genuine. This is rubbish. And then James Justin, so dusty, he got relegated twice. Oh, come on. That's what you're bringing in. It's absolute madness. So dusty, he's been relegated twice. Look, James, it's not even a personal thing. Man's are just speaking factual. You get what I'm saying? They ain't going to get a season out of Calvert-Lewin. Madness. So that's why Leeds is the third dustiest team. For me, Crystal Palace and Fulham, the reason why they're dustier than Leeds is just not good enough given what they did last season. As for Leeds, this is just straight dusty. I can't even lie to you. And they're going down. So the next team, the next dusty team on my list is Brentford. Brentford. This right here is shocking. 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 You got to think again. These brothers lost Mbeumo. These brothers lost Wissa. These brothers lost Thomas Frank. These brothers lost Norgard. Just to say least. The one good signing though, and this is why they got a free. And I don't know how the whole league let this brother go. Kelleher for me is a top 6 goalkeeper in my view. I would have Kelleher in goal at Spurs as our number 1. No joke, no joke. Kelleher is a great signing for Brentford. You know, he's up there with the Reyes. That man is a madman. How did they get him? However, and also, I think there's a player there in Reece Nelson. There's legitimately a player there in Reece Nelson. But Kelleher should be in a top 6 team. Are you mad? Like, what is Tottenham looking at? Chelsea have got bloody Sanchez in goal. You might as well have gone and got Kelleher. I swear down, if Chelsea had Kelleher in goal, you could call them title contenders. Legit. Like, this Kelleher is that good. The way that he was being treated at Liverpool, he had to leave. He had to leave because he's better than being... He's not a number 2. He's a number 1. You get me? He could even be... He's even good enough to be number 1 at Villa or Newcastle. Yeah, Kelleher is that good, bro. Kelleher, Reece Nelson, that's a good buy. I can't even lie to you. Well, what are we doing in this day and age when you're bringing back Jordan Henderson? What is that? That there was -7 points. That's why these men are right here at 3. Not good enough for me. Not good enough. Remember, you also got to think about when you're doing these transfers, yeah? Yes, we'll mod you, Tyrell. Definitely, we'll mod you, my bro. Faxtedge, I can't lie. He is cold. He is cold. And I'm going to mod Hope Gaming. We'll mod everyone that's in the chat in the location. I'll get you modded. Mazza says, nah, respect my captain. Nah, ban that, man. Jordan Henderson is done. There's nothing wrong in me saying he's finished. No Premier League club should be having Jordan Henderson in their team. What are we doing? What are we doing? This brother is finished. You get what I'm saying? Then you got Coyote, you got Donovan, you got Utara. Utara as well is a player, but we don't know how well he's going to do in this Brentford team. And for me, I don't think Brentford have reinforced enough to kick on from where they were. Remember, everybody is bringing in players to kick on. And I don't think the signings that Brentford have made is enough for them to kick on. This is worse than last season. They are a weaker team than last season. I've got them just above the relegation zone. Don't get gassed by their start to the season, brothers. Don't get gassed, bro. It's dusty. FK Arsenal says, Deji, Who had a better window, Chelsea or Hotspur? Big up to you, bro. We're getting there, bro. We are getting there, and I'm being truthful. I'm not here to do any banter. I'm just judging from my opinion. Respect my people. Champions League and Captain Henderson is in the England squad for what reason? I don't know. Like, do you know when you make moves like that, then you know that the team or the country ain't serious. Do you get me? They're not. If he's in the England squad, I haven't even bothered to check it. It's not good enough. Should not be there. But I think Brentford fans look at this list at Brentford, and they think not good enough. Not good enough for me. I think Brentford could be at risk of relegation. People might be saying, Ded, you're chatting rubbish. Ded, you don't know ball. Rare. Let the season kick in and let some of these brothers get injured. They're done. They are done for. Not good enough quality for Brentford to kick on, in my view. Wissa's too big a loss. Embremo, crazy loss. Norgard, crazy loss. Thomas Frank, crazy loss, bro. But it could be a good club for Nice. I think it is a good move for Reece Nelson. He's the player, but is there enough quality around him to get the best out of him? He'll probably be one of the main men there. And I think Kelleher. They're the only two that hold this club up. The rest, not good enough. Not good enough, in my opinion. And that's why I give Brentford 3. And Ghosted believes me. He says, facts, Deji Tyrell, no problem at all, my bro. Big up to you. Next on the list, peeps. Next on the list is Brighton. Brighton. I thought this signing. And before I stop there, big up Tom, Tottenham Ranger, have a coffee on me, blood. It took me 15 minutes to type this away. Big up to you, bro. Thank you for the super chat, my brother. I will definitely go and get a coffee. Definitely on you. Big up to you, man. Enough respect, enough love. Hopefully you enjoy what I'm doing and the show. Toxic says Brentford had 20 goal strikers last season in Wilson and Bremer. I don't know if they will to replace those goals. Bro, that's why when I didn't even think they were going to lose Wissa, but I think Brentford could go down. A lot of people like, Deji, what are you chatting about? No, when it kicks in and everyone gets going, those misses are big misses, brothers. Those misses are big. But let's talk about Brighton. Let's talk about Brighton right now. And Tottenham Ranger, bro, I'm modding you for that as well, bro. Modding you for that. What the hell is this, Brighton? What is this? What is this? Brighton. I don't know. They lost Ferguson. They sold Ferguson, I think, to, is it Roma or Napoli? They lost, who else did Brighton lose in terms who's the other brother that they lost? They lost they managed to keep Belabor. Belabor, they managed to keep. Had they lost Belabor, this would have been a complete disaster. Now you're looking at Brighton. Yes, they've started off all right. But the problem with Brighton is once they start to get injuries, they started to fade. And another thing is that a lot of the players want to leave. What the Van Heck is trying to get out of there. Yeah, and I love Van Hecker. I will take Van Hecker all day long. And they got that Brazilian midfielder that was partnering with João Pedro. Yes, they lost João Pedro. And for me, and then they sold Adringa to Sunderland. And then they brought in these brothers, which I have to be completely honest with you. Who the hell are they? Do you know what I'm saying? What is this? Brighton again, certified team needing to kick on. And it could be that they've done something that I don't know. You know, Brighton are known for bringing in the Belabors, the Mitomas, the Dringers. You know, this is the only team that got a proper tune out of Danny Welbeck. But judging from this list, I'm not even going to lie to you, lot. I don't know any of these players, really. And I'm like, what? Yeah, Rutter. Do you know what I'm saying? And then, guess who they sold as well, which I couldn't believe on deadline day? Was it O'Reilly? He was doing good for them. You sold O'Reilly. So, bro, like Brighton, for me, are doing a madness. They're doing an absolute madness. And these are the replacements for Brighton. For me, it's not good enough. It's 3.5. I think Brighton fans will tell you now they're fuming. Brighton fans, if you're in the chat, leave a comment. I'm rating your transfer window 3 out of 5. 3.5 out of 10. Sorry, not good enough. Brighton is a team that on their day are like a Bournemouth. They can beat anyone on their day, but this ain't right. Yeah, this is not good enough. I think they might have run out of luck this year. They might have run out of luck, but we will see. Toxic says Brighton have Caicedo or McAllister in those new signings. Give it a year. Their data is mad. Let's see. Because at the moment, Toxic, I do think that, but because they're unknowns to me, I can only judge it on the face of it. I think you might have a point there, but I don't think those players are good enough to take Brighton further. I do think the players they already have are great. Ghosty said Brighton will always seem to get it right, which I agree they do. Trudon says, who are these players? Good question, because I don't bloody know. I was kind of hoping some of you would know who these players are, but these are the signings that these brothers made. I don't know any of these brothers, so I can't even judge. I have to give it 3.5. We know that Brighton could do a Mazza. Do you get what I'm saying? But I'm not. I'm just judging it on the players, and I don't know these players. AP4 says, Deji, don't be surprised if you see any of those players at Chelsea. Bro, we know, innit? Chelsea is the most shameless brothers. The most shameless brothers. Anton says Brighton shopping on QVC. You know, bro. You know. I don't know. This cheapy stuff that Brighton like to do. And then you got Brighton have one of the best scouts for me. They bring in ballers. But this summer, the signings they've made is not good enough for me. Thank you, Tyrell. By their standards, they've already set a pace. Keep the same energy is what I'm asking from Brighton. And I don't think these signings is them keeping the same energy. Not at all. And then Minty Breath versus Udogie is still fun for me till now. Yeah, Minty Breath, what he did to Udogie, bro, almost ended that brother's bloody football career in that game over there at Brighton. So look, 3.5, don't think it's good enough. But again, Brighton fans, please leave comments in the chat. Let me know what your prediction is and whether it is. And you probably know more about these players. Feel free. I will play the ignorant card. Next on my list, we got here FK saying Brighton spent 126 mil, 69 net, 50. Well, bro, one thing that you can say about Brighton is that their business. What the hell is this rubbish? Wolves. I swear, Dad, if this Wolves team, but looking at the names, you can already tell that the names that they brought in is more known than the players that Brighton have brought in. And, you know, like my brother said, Anton, these men shop at QVC. These guys are slightly on a higher level. I've given Wolves a 4. Again, not good enough, given that they lost. Let's just remind ourselves, these brothers lost Ain't Nuri. Yeah? Ain't no sunshine when it's... No, I'm not even going to bother singing that tune. But it does feel like that. They lost Cunha. Yeah? Yeah? They lost some brothers in this team. They were lucky not to lose Gomez. They were lucky not to lose a couple of other players. I think one of their players, the striker, Strand Larsen, wasn't even linked with Newcastle. That would have been a bit mad as well. However, do you know what I mean? John Arias is from Fluminense in Brazil. He looks like a player, just needs to settle down. You know, these guys, they love their Brazilians. You know, Tolu Rocadara, again, is okay from what I know. Fernando Lopez is a player there. But really and truly, has Wolves lost these? You get me? Have they replaced what they've lost? I don't think so. I think the most exciting player from this list is John Arias. If they can get a tune at Arias, he could be as influential for Wolves as Cunha was. Like, legit. If they can. The thing is, if they don't, Wolves could go down. I agree with Toxic. Wolves could be a team that goes down. I just think that this is dusty. But the Arias signing, the Fernando Lopez signing, even Strand Larsen as a striker, I think them three could they could do a job. And because I know about them three brothers, I think I've rated their transfer window slightly better than Brighton, and I've given them a 4. Now, Tottenham Rangers says they're all dusty, Dej. Bruv, I know. By their standards, it is. We're finishing 4th. Oh, bro, we're going to get there. We're going to get Strand Larsen's class, but what a dusty transfer. Bruv, what the hell is it, bro? At least you guys are agreeing with me. What a dusty transfer window for Wolves. Everybody's shaking their bum at the amount of signings that took place this transfer window. But that's because we were focusing on a couple of clubs. Do you know what I mean? Really and truly, the transfer window this year was very dusty for a lot of teams. Very dusty. Not many teams strengthened. They just brought in extra blood. That's all they did. They brought in extra bodies, but they didn't strengthen. But big up. Toxic says Cunha helped a lot last year. He did. And John Arias is going to need time to settle. I do think Wolves are in trouble. And they signed David Wolf for his name. I love that PG says they signed Wolfie for his name. How shameless are these brothers? But let's see. So look, Wolves, not really much to talk about. John Arias, if they get him cooking, could be a player. Strand Larsen is a good player, but surrounded by a lot of dust in that team. He would have done better if if Nori was still there, if Cunha was still there. Yeah, something. But in this squad, it feels like they are starting from the bottom. Swamp says Wolfie is a baller. He ain't gonna lie. And then Sean saying, imagine these Wolves always wins at our place. Remind me who we got next. We got West Ham next, but yeah, Wolves is definitely on the list. But imagine they always slap us up. These are the brothers that had what's his name, Doherty at bloody right back. Madness. Let's go to the next slide. So far, it looks like the chat is agreeing with me. Yes, chat. Dusty West Ham. Dusty West Ham. I've rated it a 4. Let's not look at the last game against Nottingham Forest. I've rated West Ham transfer window a 4. Not good enough for West Ham. West Ham is supposed to be, when you speak to their fans, the way they shake their bum, they will tell you that they're a top 10 team, but West Ham are not moving like top 10. Let's have a look. They brought in Carl Walker-Peters. Now, I'm a Spurs fan and I rate Carl Walker-Peters. I love the brother. But when I started seeing West Ham fans shake their bum for him, I knew they were in trouble. Like, Carl Walker-Peters could do a job, but when you're shaking your bum for Carl Walker-Peters, you're in trouble. They brought in injury-prone Callum Wilson. Bruv, what are we doing here? Callum Wilson will play 10 games and that's it. So that is even dusty. Remember, they had Mikel Antonio up top. Remember the job that this brother used to do. Physical, running, indirect. Callum Wilson is not that guy. He really isn't. He's going to wait around he's a fox in the box. He wants to poach, get his goal in the box. You get me? He took a good goal against Nottingham Forest. I'm not going to lie. Do you get what I'm saying? But then they brought in, I think this signing was good. I heard Pete from the Newcastle fan talk about this brother from Southampton, Mateus Fernandes, meant to be a good player. And to be honest, his first game for West Ham, man, he actually performed well. But this is still a brother from Southampton. They got their own Igor. I know another team on the list got Igor. They got Malik Duke. What the hell is this? What is this? Hermanison? Nah, not good enough for West Ham. Not good enough for West Ham for me. West Ham is a team that should be entering Europe. This list right here is just about, you know what, staying in the Prem. That's what West Ham have brought. They brought in players to try and stay in the Prem, bearing in mind that Callum Wilson, is probably going to get injured very, very soon. I'm not wishing bad upon him. It's just the truth. Yeah. And if that's your gunman, he's not the guy. Callum Wilson is not getting you 15 Premier League goals. Not at West Ham. It's not happening. Todibo was a defender that they shook their bum. They made it permanent over the summer. Not good enough. You've seen this guy been spun around like Kylie Minogue. This is rubbish. For me, West Ham is in trouble. West Ham is in trouble. Don't get it twisted. They play the dusty Nottingham Forest team. But this transfer window for West Ham, I think West Ham fans would no doubt agree. This is a 4 out of 10. Hammond's dustier than a bag of cement. I fully agree with Anton. Ghosty said West Ham spending all their money on bubbles. That's the truth, bro. Bubbles, literally. And Toxic says he doesn't rate Todibo. Bro, there's not really much to say here. There's not really. Mateus Fernandes is a player that I reckon West Ham lose him at the end of the season. I think Newcastle will go in for him. I think maybe even I think if we didn't have Xavi Simons, Spurs could have gone in for that sort of player, but it was too much of a risk. Look, he looked good against Nottingham Forest. That's why I've calmed myself down. I did this list before the games on the weekend. So And judging by the names and judging by the personnel they've brought in, this is a 4 out of 10 for me transfer window for West Ham. James says, waiting for your verdict on us. Don't worry about that, bro. I'm coming, James. Who is your team? Stop. Slap the lights. Yeah, let's slap the lights, people. Make sure. And then Archer says, let's pop those bubbles. Bro, I actually think West Ham could go down. Don't let the result against Nottingham Forest gas you up. This team is crap. This team is rubbish. Imagine a choice between Wan-Bissaka and Carl Walker-Peters. I mean, that is dusty. Dusty. Paqueta, I think, is probably their greatest signing in keeping him. Because had they lost Paqueta, they would have been fully mudded. And I think the reason why they brought in Mateus Fernandes was because they thought they were going to lose Paqueta. Another great signing for them is the fact that they've kept their captain in Fernandes. But this is one dusty team. Crikey. I mean, so bad that they could go down. But remember, I'm judging the transfers only, and I would say not good enough. Lawless shamelessly called this a good window. It's rubbish. You see, Lawless has low standards. And the thing with Lawless, I don't understand him. 1 minute he's at the high table, and the next minute he's on the floor. Which one is it? If you want to be at the high table, then you can't big up any of these players. The only player that you could say is of substance on that list, and it's about potential, is Mateus Fernandes. Everyone else, not good enough. If you want me to keep it real, not good enough. But let's move to the next on the list. Is Bournemouth. Remember, I'm judging the window, not the team. Bournemouth, I think, are a little bit like Brighton, I guess, in the sense of they bring in these brothers that nobody knows and they smash it. Remember last season, they brought in Howson, the defender. They brought in Kirkes. They brought in, obviously, Ivan Nielsen. They brought in, obviously, Semenyo. Like, they transferred Cliver. They are a mad team. And again, Iriola almost had Bournemouth in Europe. Basically, Bournemouth lost their back line. They lost Kepa. They lost Housen. They lost, I think someone went to PSG. Someone went to Arsenal. Someone went to Madrid. You know, they lost 4 of their back 5 last season. So for me, these are the people who they replaced them with. Again, not going to lie, don't know too many of these brothers, but if it's the Igor that I know, then the Igor is... Arsenal says Igor is solid. That's for West Ham. Yeah, he's a strong defender. I think he's the one that bodied Brennan Johnson. I don't know any of these brothers, you know. Alex Jimenez, Milicevic, do you know what I mean? However, just seeing Brighton play already with these brothers, they can already do a job. But I just think by Brighton standards, have they brought in players that are going to be able to kick on based on the players that they've lost? Looking at this Brighton list, I don't think it's that great. Yeah, I don't think it's that great. But shamelessly says this brother looks like Caicedo's twin. 100%, bro. Probably plays like him as well. But for me, I just think with the path and the trajectory that Bournemouth will go in, with these signings that are very much unknown, I don't think it's good enough for Brighton. For Bournemouth. But we will see. We will see if Diakite is really that guy. Do you get what I'm saying? Is he really that guy? They really wanted him. Is he that guy? You know, is Jimenez that guy? We would know. Well, good luck to Bournemouth. It's a tough game. Jay Greens, just calm yourself down, bro. And then Deji, Sean says, Truffert locked up Kudus for 75 minutes. Bro, do you know what I mean? He did. He really did, bro. We weren't good enough that day. I just felt it was a bad... Is he that good? Or did we have a bad day in the office? That's what I would say to you, Sean. But yes, peeps, definitely smash it up. But I think on the overall, given who they are, time will tell, I would rate Bournemouth 4.5. I think if you speak to Bournemouth fans, they will rate it 4.5, 5 out of 10. They don't really know the players that they brought in. If these players go on to perform and have some consistency, like Sean is suggesting, then I would say that Bournemouth's transfer is probably a 7 out of 10. But because they're unknown and we need to see the level of consistency, as an outsider looking in, I want to know, does Bournemouth do better than last season with these players? I say no, and that's why I've rated them 4.5 out of 10. James, you're Everton, by the way. Yeah, you'll be happy with where I've placed Everton. I think you guys have done some excellent business this summer. Let's go to the next one. Let's go. Aston Villa. I gave them a 5. Why did I do that? Aston Villa is a team going backwards. Legit. I can't blame Martinez for wanting to leave. If it was me too, I'd be telling you Marco Bizot as well. Marco Bizot. Yeah, that's right. The only reason why I gave these men a 10 is I do think there's a player in Lindelof at the right club, you know. But getting Harvey Elliott on the last day on loan, and I can see Harvey Elliott doing good there, especially because Villa they've never really had a 10. They've been playing kind of McGinn in that 10. It's been weird. Do you know what I'm saying? I think Harvey Elliott has been brought in for the number 10 role, and I think he does a great job in that 10. And Sancho, that could be shrewd business. If Unai Emery is able to get a tune out of Sancho, then he could be the replacement to Leon Bailey that these men have been looking for. Do you get what I'm saying? Özcan is a solid player, Turkish player. Marco Bizot is the new goalkeeper. Does he start ahead of Martinez? That is the question. We don't know, but he's all right. I thought he fumbled, to be honest. I thought he was quite rubbish against Crystal Palace. They need Martinez to be in goal. Redmond, I don't really know too much about him. But based on the list of names, it's a 5. Do these players improve Villa? Based on players that they've had or have gone, I don't think so. ZCM7 said it should be a 3.5. You're probably right. The reason why I gave it a 5 is that signing of Harvey Elliott could turn out to be shrewd business for Villa and could transform the attack. And with Jadon Sancho, if you're able to get a tune out of Sancho, then mate, that turns that transfer window for Villa into a 5 for me. Marco Bizot, not good enough. Özcan, Lindelof, again, how does he get into that defense when you've got Konza and you've got Tyro Mings, you've got Pau Torres? It's long. I don't know how Lindelof gets in there. I guess it's strength and depth for these brothers. But yeah, I gave it a 5. We'll have to see. Some people are saying it should be lower than that. I think I'm being generous. Sean says Villa bust themselves in PSR in an effort to reach the Champions League, and it's hit them in the tushy. Literally hit them in the tushy, and that's why I think Villa will struggle. I think I got Villa to finish 8th or something, or 9th. Not good enough. But like, if my team is, if I'm a Villa fan, based on seeing Marco and Asensio, do you know what I mean? And you bring in the Rashford, and then you bring in these brothers. It's rubbish. Like, you've gone from bringing the Asensios and the Rashfords of this world to this. Honestly, Villa fans, you have literally gone backwards in the location. Who's getting in the team on those sides? Bruv, I think Harvey Elliott starts, and that's the only, and maybe Sancho. I don't think anyone else breaks into the team, in my opinion. But I think Elliott, Sancho definitely start for them. I thought Leon Bailey is still at Villa. Is he still there? No, I don't think he is. I think he's gone, man. He's gone Roma. Yeah, he has. He's gone to Roma. Villa finished, haven't scored a single goal, and they've got 1 point. There's a lot of Villa fans normally that's in the chat. You lot leave a comment. Talk about your club, because for me, Villa fans last season had a lot of chest. Remember Josh? Do you know what I mean? That guy is silenced like the wind. Do you know what I mean? But if I was a Villa fan, based on experience in Champions League football, based on the fact that these guys went toe-to-toe with PSG, based on the fact that these guys beat Bayern Munich, this is what you're giving me? Mate, I'll rip up my bloody season ticket right there, right now. So not good enough for Villa, but we've given them a 5. Well, I've given them a 5 out of 10. Leave your comments whether you agree. Someone said it should be 3.5 in their opinion. Josh is MIA. I know. Where is he? Find that Josh. I'm going to call him. He's moving suspicious. Leave him because he knows that his team is dusty. That's why he's definitely moving MIA. Next on the list, let's see if you lot agree with me. Next on the list in the location is, let's get it up. Let's get it up. Villa 5, Bournemouth 4.5. You're right. Yeah, bro, I'm not sure. I gave Sancho Harvey Elliott a more 30 ballers. At least I know of them, and that's why. Burnley, what the hell is this? Look what Burnley did. These brothers did a mazza. First and foremost, Burnley ain't moving like Burnley. I gave Burnley a 6 out of 10. Some of you guys might say it's bloody harsh, but let's look at this list. Yeah, Deji, Josh is on holiday with his family. Okay, don't worry. We'll let him enjoy his holiday and then he will bring him back. KR says, mad signing. These brothers, let's look at this. They brought in Florentino. They brought in Armando Brojan. I think there's a player there. For me, I would have had Brojan as a backup 9 in the Spurs team. And I'm talking to Sean here. Would you have Brojan in the Tottenham team? They brought in the Bradcar. Yeah, they brought in Hugo Chukwu. Yeah, he's all right. He can do a job. They brought in Carl Walker. They brought in Brown Larson. They brought in Chuana. They've got Jaden Anthony, who's a player. They brought in Marcus Edwards, who's a player. They brought in Zion Fleming, who can do a job. Maybe they've got Axel Tuzebi. Does anybody remember Axel Tuzebi? Used to be Manchester United Academy brother. They brought this brother in. My issue, I gave it a 6 because Burnley are moving mad with those signings. Moving mad. Obviously, not all Prem proven, but they brought in a lot of potential. The Bradcar is shrewd business in the goal area. Carl Walker can still do a job. We saw him at last season. I think he can definitely do a job there. Didn't Carl Walker go to AC Milan for a bit as well? So, you know, in terms of pace, not many people are going to get past him. For me, I think Marcus Edwards is a madman. Jaden's got a lot of Jaden Anthony potential. Trezebi can play. Humphreys, bro, they basically brought a new bloody squad. KR says, nah, pass on Brojan. I think Brojan is a player, guys. Don't be so harsh, man. I think Brojan's got potential to be a crazy striker. I think Brojan will do well for Burnley. I really do. I think he cooks, man. I think he cooks, and I'm so glad that we got them out the way. Sean says the promoted teams are trying to avoid the drop. It should be commended. I'm so bloody glad we got it out the way because I think Scott Parker can get a tune out of these players, bro. I think Burnley don't get relegated based on these signings. As long as Scott Parker is able to find the right system for Nil, I know it's easy to say. There's some players here, bro. Look at the names. Some of these names I would take. I would take Marcus Edwards back in a heartbeat. Tottenham are struggling to have a player on the left-hand side. Well, bring in Marcus Edwards, mate. He could do a job. To say, yeah, bro, they've got players here. They have got players. So I would give it a 6. Not quite crazy, but I think Burnley fans might even say 8 by their own standards. But from a neutral perspective, from an outsider looking in, that's not bad. That's respectable. I think you got to put some respect on Burnley for even doing this. This is really not like them. Jose says, now I know you're taking the piss, Brojan horse. Bro, no, hold it. For real. Do you know what? Maybe I'm just thinking of Brojan of old. I just think there's a lot of potential in Brojan. A lot of these Chelsea Academy youth, they've really let people down. The whole league is full of Chelsea Academy youth. I'm yet to see any of them flop, to be honest. Most of them are doing all right by their own standards. So he's a Chelsea Academy youth, and I think he will be a player. Shaking your bum for Burnley, that's so sad. I'm not shaking my bum for them, but I think they've done good signings, bro. As opposed to the ones before this place, I think they've done a good. Let's see how Samuel Chukwueze does in the Prem. I think the move at Milan affected him due to the lack of game time. Yeah, but let's see how he gets on for real. Burnley lost a lot of goals with Brohill going. However, Arsenal should be number 1. We'll see about that. And then James says, Ipswich done last season what Burnley have done this season. Yes, true talks there. So I don't think that's too bad. 6 out of 10 for me, Burnley. Respect it, and I think they've done enough to stay up. That's you got to look at what are teams trying to achieve this season. Burnley want to survive. Can they survive with these players added to the squad? I can't see why not. I think they survive. I think they survive by the skin of their teeth. But that's better than what Fulham's doing. That's better than what Brighton's doing. I would even argue that's better than what bloody Bournemouth have done, in my opinion. So that's why I put Burnley 6 out of 10. And Anton says, Burnley with the picky mix. Big up my brother, Dylan in the building. He said, Deji, sign Raven Sterling for your left-hand side. You must be smoking Budgie Banton if you think we're going to be signing that, brother. Let's go to the next one on the list. And thank you for being there. I'm kind of enjoying this. Sunderland, another team that's moving mad in the transfers. Let's have a look. Another 14 players. Madness. Like Sean said earlier, none of these promoted teams is trying to go down. Sean's saying, even based on what we've seen so far in this stream, he reckons Brentford or Wolves are probably looking like the two most vulnerable teams. I said in my pre-season prediction that two teams that have been in could go down. So I got West Ham to go down. Maybe they don't, but I had West Ham, Brentford, Leeds. I definitely think there's a shout for Wolves instead of West Ham. Definitely a shout for that, and maybe that's what's going on. But let's look at Sunderland's team. 14 players. Yeah, this brother here, we know him. Wasn't he at West Ham? You've got Granit Xhaka back in the Prem. They got a Jingra from Brighton. We know about him. You've got Diarra. He's not bad. They've got that Traore brother. Brad, these man, they got some ballers there. Let's be real. Very, very shrewd business from Sunderland. Do you know what I'm saying? Not enough to compete with Newcastle, but definitely if I was a Sunderland fan, I would be like, yeah, not bad. Not bad. Now, ZCR Arm 7 said Sunderland need to be at least an 8. Maybe I've got it wrong. Maybe I got it wrong. But, yeah, look, it's not bad transfer window for them, for me. Maybe you're right, actually. Maybe. But 6.5 is not bad. 6.5 is basically me saying it's been a decent window, but there's other teams that have done better. Maybe by Sunderland standards, that's probably an 8, to be fair. I think you've got a shout for that. But some of these players, Xhaka, can he still do it? There's still question marks. This brother was at West Ham, I believe. Can he still do it? Do you know what I'm saying? I think Adringra, very shrewd signing for them. The new striker that they brought in, he looks like a decent player. Do you know what I'm saying? It doesn't look too bad. But I gave it a 6.5 because there are a few unknowns in there for me that I am not sure about. And that's why I gave it a 6.5. But if I'm not 100% sure of the players and what they got, then that's probably why I gave a lower rating. And that's probably more on me than Sunderland. Toki says Sunderland should be a 9 for me. They've done enough to stay up by 6 points. Yes, they should be staying up, but let's see. Sunderland need to be at least 8. West Ham and Wolves and Man U are going down. I really do hope so. That would be funny. I would take Granit Xhaka now over Odegaard is what Toki is saying in the building. But let's see. And then Bro B from Ajax has a lot of experience. Yeah, I think they've done shrewd. Look, like I said, 6.5 is not knocking Sunderland. That's good. You know, Sunderland standards is probably an 8 or 9. I think for us who support some of the bigger teams, you're looking at those players. How many of those players would you want at your club is what I'm saying. And that's how I'm judging it. And for that reason and for that reason alone, I've gave it a 6.5. DJ Magic says, hey, bro, how you doing? Thank you, bro. Thank you for being there. It says, enjoy, keep up the good work. Enjoy your channel. Stay focused, dreams and aspirations. Never give up. I'm from North London, Tottenham, but a Liverpool fan. And I've got a soft spot for Spurs. Big up to you, bro. And I'm from North London, Tottenham. Do you know what I mean? I went to the primary school next to Tottenham Hotspur, St. Paul's and all hellos. That was my school. That was my manor off Lansdowne Road. So when I'm talking Tottenham, me are Tottenham. So big up to you for being there, DJ Magic. And especially that you live in the ends. Enough respect to you, bro. Make sure you tap into Peppers and Spice. Make sure you tap into Chick King. I hope you have. I'm probably, given that you're from Tottenham, you probably have already. And yeah, for real, bun Arsenal, bun them, fire for them. Yeah, so now big up to you, my bro. So Sunderland for me is a 6.5. Happy again. Comments in the chat. Why is it higher? Let me know why you want to pull it higher. But I've given it a 6.5. Let's go. They stay up though. That 6.5, you're staying up for me. Man United, I've given a 6.5. Looking at this thing, I'm thinking maybe 6.5 is too high. I'm thinking this is probably a 6. Let me tell you why I gave a 6.5. I think Cunha and Mbeumo are massive signings for Man United. Massive. Let's be real. Most teams, if you got Mbeumo and Cunha as a pair, you know you should be getting Champions League football. That's big 6. If Tottenham got Mbeumo and Cunha, I'm talking title challenge. I swear down. With Kudus. Mbeumo, Kudus, and and Cunha, nah. So for me, Cunha and Mbeumo, massive signings. I think Sesko is a bum and he's on 250 grand a week. Are you smoking Budgie Banton? Doesn't make sense. I don't know who Lamens is and I don't know who Diego Leon is. That is absolutely mad. And then I don't know who Harley Edston James is. I don't know who this James brother is. But I feel like Cunha and Mbeumo make it a 6.5. If not, this transfer window for Man United is a 4 out of 10. I swear down, not good enough. Like Man United, can they get Europe with these signings they've made? I think they could get Europa League just because of Mbeumo and Cunha, not because of anybody else. But for me, on the whole, that is poor for United. That is poor. It's a fall from grace. And I remember listening to Sky Sports and this lady was talking and she said like, to see Man United fans shake their bum for scoring a last minute goal against Burnley truly is a fall from grace. And I had to sit up and go, she's right. Are you mad? She is right. Do you know what I mean? So Man United fans, I'm not going to lie. This is dusty. James says Sunderland home form will keep them up. I agree with that. I think so. 5 for me. Cunha and Mbeumo are bad boys, but Sesko is unknown. Diego Leon is a kid, and the keeper is young, and he is second choice. I gave them 6.5. I just feel like Cunha and Mbeumo lift them to the 6.5 where they can get Europe. I think they're that good. Do you know what I mean? Sometimes you can have 1 or 2 players that literally tilts the balance, but really the rest is not good enough. United should be okay for goals. Problem for them is that they often look disjointed and suspicious at the back. I agree with Archer. DJ Magic, Mad, we must know each other, King. I went to the Northumberland Park Community School, grew up in South Tottenham, Ecot Grove. Yeah, bro. Well, we must know each other because I went to D&K. Do you know what I mean? And if you know D&K, then it kind of gives away my age. But yeah, literally went to the primary school next door to Northumberland. Did all my swimming at Northumberland. So I mean, know it well. You understand, bro? I know it well. Man United is a 4. They have not plugged the gearing gaps they have in their midfield. Team will walk through their midfield again. Yeah, I agree, but I do feel like I hear what Jose is saying, but I do feel that Mbeumo and they've been doing it already. Have already hidden their blushes, man. I think what United is dusty as a whole. You're right; they haven't plugged the gaps. But the signing of Cunha and Mbeumo and Sesko on paper, those are big signings. Like, those should be signings that should be taking you somewhere. I don't think Sesko is who they say he is, just like I don't think Gyökeres is who what Arsenal say he is. But Mbeumo and Cunha have already shown that they're top draw signings, top draw. And so we've got to give them that respect. And Chimera is smoking Budgie Banton on this Thursday morning by lying to himself that United had a better window than Spurs. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. And I'm not even here to be biased. This is me. If United fans are shaking their bum for these signings, then they truly are in the mud. Yeah, Jose is saying that it should really be a 4. I'm even saying 6.5, and I'm giving 6.5 literally because of Cunha and Mbeumo. Because really and truly, that is dusty, even by their standards. Let's not lie. And big up Don C in the chat. People can't wait to get to the Arsenal section, you know. Don't worry. We're coming there. We're getting closer. Don't worry. That's the hint. Let's go. Next one up after United. Let's go. I went Nottingham Forest. Man, I went Nottingham Forest. Do you know what? Nottingham Forest pulled this out the bag in the last minute. Yeah, really pulled this out the bag. I think for me, there's a couple of ballers in there that I did like. I think Jason McAtee is a shrewd signing for them. I think there's a player there, 100%. I think Omari Hutchinson is a very good signing for Nottingham Forest. Come on the wing. I would have taken Omari Hutchinson at Spurs. What are Tottenham looking at? These brothers also brought in Douglas Luiz. What are we doing here? I don't know why they brought in Zinchenko. That don't make no sense to me. And they brought in a friend of mine's son, Wusu or something like that. They brought him in as well. Bro, they brought in some players, man. I can't even lie. They brought in about 3 players from Botafogo. I think they've sent one of the players back. But I think on paper, do you know what I mean? You're looking at this Nottingham Forest team. It's not too bad. Even they brought in Arnold Culamendo as well. How did these brothers get this? Oh, how are they able to do this? Ain't there no PSR issues with Forest? What are we talking about here? Toki says, for me, Omari Hutchinson reminds me of Brennan Johnson. Right, nah. Omari Hutchinson's better than Brennan, bro. Trust me. He showed bits at Ipswich last season. And remember, Omari Hutchinson came from your bloody academy, mate. So hush your gums and calm yourself down. He's from the Arsenal Academy, brother. Yeah, I think there's a player there. And so there's a few players I could recognize. I can't lie. Arguably, United had a better win than Spurs. They only need a midfielder now. Spurs need a left wing centre mid. Oh, bro, let's get into that. I'm not sure about that. How do Forest get around PSR with 20 signings everywhere? Bro, that's what I want to know. Literally, look at this bloody list. But you got to give it a 7. They've lost players. Remember, they lost Elanga. Do you get me? They almost lost Morgan Gibbs. Can't even remember 1 or 2. They didn't really even lose that many players, to be honest. But they brought in reinforcements. Do you get what I'm saying? So I think they're doing better. So let's see. Toxic says Spurs didn't have a better window than Forest. Big Dead. They did, bro. They did, and we're gonna get into that, bro. Don't lie to yourself. Don't lie to yourself. I've got a #1 popular YouTube channel called Tea and Crumpets. We do hood vlogs, but keep up, bro. Big up to you, my bro. I'm gonna definitely tap into that, my brother. Tea and Crumpets. I love the name as well. I'm into apple crumble. I might have to do another channel, but yeah, definitely tap into that. Wait till Nuno gets his P45 after all those Brazilian brothers have arrived. You know that, bro. Crazy signings, but on paper, with Douglas Luiz, McAtee, these brothers, Hutchison, you know, Ndoye, you got another Igor, Jesus, Paula. Bro, they got some ballers there. You got to give them a 7 out of 10. I'm trying to be unbiased. And Bremo is not better than Kudus. And Cunha is miles better than Xavi. Be realistic. Chinamere, you're just a troll. I'm starting to think that you're a bot. Do you know what I mean? Like, show yourself. You must be on the budgie banting. And yes, listen to Ravi. Smash a like, people. Toki said there's a reason why Saka, Max Dowman, Ethan and Skelly on the first team and Amari's been shuffled all over the gap. Not good enough. But, bro, he's playing Prem football, bro. I think Omari, there's a player, but when you have too many players, sometimes you have to find the team that is a better fit for you. That don't mean he's not a good player, bro. I think Omari is a baller, bro. And I think that Nottingham Forest have been shrewd with them Botafogo signings. Shrewd. So I'm giving them a 7. Wolfie should not chat to me. Any team that gets pammed 3-0 by West Ham should hush their gums. But big up to Wolfie for getting 30k subscribers yesterday. But I think they've done well in the transfer window. Do I see Nottingham Forest get in Europe with this squad? I think they can. Under Nuno, I think these brothers could definitely finish 8th, but I don't think they would finish higher than that. And Kira says this is all Edu. Next on the list in the location, please. Next on the list is Everton. Everton, I've got them a 7 out of 10, bro. I think Everton hasn't done bad business. Again, some of you might think, Dej, what are you chatting about? Tyler Diblin is a great winger. What a player from Southampton. And I think Jack Grealish was a shrewd signing for Everton. And already you can see in the location that you think Don C thinks that Everton had a great win. Oh, Everton definitely had a great window, bro. Everton, Forest ahead of Everton, Elvis says. Are you sure? Are you sure? Maybe. Maybe there's a shout. But they're both 7, though. They're both 7, so it doesn't matter. I gave Everton a slightly bigger one, slightly ahead of them because they brought in Grealish, bro. Grealish, for me, I think he could transform Everton's season. I can see Everton definitely in the top half. I can see Moyes, you know how he likes to stink out the gaff. Even Dewsbury Hall, I think could do a job there. I think Dewsbury Hall is a player, just wasn't a player for Chelsea. You know, and then they brought in some other players, Carlos, Alcatraz, you know, he can do a job, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? The other players I really don't know too much about, but I do think by Everton standards, Everton fans are looking at the transfer window and they are thinking this is very, very good business. Sean is saying Grealish loan of the window, not going to lie, just above Palhinha, 100%, bro. Like, Grealish today is a madman. Event for relegation. So for me, I think that for Everton, we're looking at whether the teams are going to kick on with the signings they've made. I think Everton is a better team than last season. I think Nottingham Forest is about the same as they were as last season. And that's why I've rated Everton. Even though they're both 7 out of 10, I would say it has more of an impact on Everton than it does Nottingham Forest. And next on the list, I kind of gave the game away, so you man would have seen it. Everton striker short, but otherwise happy. That's what James says. James, do you agree with me that a 7 out of 10? You're an Everton fan. Let me know. Am I right in saying 7 out of 10? I think that with the signings you've made, you kick on. Whereas Nottingham Forest are much of a muchness for me, in my view. DJ Magic says that Everton, they need to get ready with Dennis Stadium. I can't stand up club. Yep, and Don C says, like, get the lights up. Newcastle. Toxic says the tune's 8. I don't think so. Let me explain. This Nick brother, this AKA Peter Crouch, I don't know what he's going to do up top for them. I don't think he's that great a signing. For me, Elanga is a great signing. I just couldn't see how Elanga played when you've got Gordon and Harvey and Murphy. But we've seen already, especially because they were light up top. They played well against Liverpool. Newcastle deserved a shout from those. Deserve something from those games. Jacob Ramsey is a shrewd signing. Malik Ford, good signing. Aaron Ramsdale as a backup goalkeeper, he can definitely do a job. Lloyd Kelly, I think he's a good player. Cordero, I don't really know him. And Harrison Ashby. I don't think it's too bad. But I don't think, apart from Elanga, I don't see how these brothers strengthen Newcastle's first 11. And that's why I gave it a 7, bro. Toxic says, don't sleep on Voldemort, yeah? This Voldemort, brother, if you watch him, he's big, he's heavy, and he's slow. He's just a big giant. I don't think he's that great. Oh, yeah, we should have put Wissa on this list. Okay, yeah, Wissa is a good signing. You're right. Wissa, we should have put Wissa on that list. I think it's, even with Wissa, I think it's 7.5. I don't think this brother, the striker, I don't think he strengthens the first team. Elanga, for me, does he even start? I don't think so. Does Ramsey start? Like, none of these brothers start. I think the squad is stronger, but none of them start. Well, obviously, this Nick Voldemort starts, or Voldemade, But I don't think he's that great, bro. I really don't think he's that great. And that's why I gave it a 7 out of 10. I'm looking at Newcastle losing Isak and bringing this brother in. It's like Tottenham losing Kane and bringing in Solanke. They're not the same, and maybe I shouldn't be comparing. But is Newcastle going to be getting... Like, Newcastle were in the Are they in the Champions League? They were in the Champions League. Are they in the Champions League this year? I can't even remember. But is Newcastle going to get top 5 with these players added to the squad? Newcastle should be aiming for top 5. And I don't think they're getting top 5 with these additions, bro. Like, legitly. Now, Toki is saying that he reckons that this brother is better than Kolo Muani. I'm not sure, bro. I'm not sure. Toki said he's the German Isak. Bro, Isak can run. This brother cannot run. He runs in slow motion. The reason why he gets past players is because he's so big, not because he's so quick. Kiros says, yes, they are. I'm not sure. I'm not sure that Nick brother scores the goals. That Isak was a madman. You know, Isak won the game against Arsenal, yeah? That's why Newcastle beat Arsenal, because of Isak. Does this brother make the difference against Arsenal? I don't think so. Is this brother going to make the difference even against Spurs? I don't think so. I don't think he's good enough. I don't think so. I don't think Newcastle will finish higher than 6th, in my opinion. Elvis says Voldemort is dusty, lads. 10 league goals max. I agree with Elvis. Not good. Lloyd Kelly, formerly of Bournemouth. Where was he last season? Good question. Not good enough. Not good enough. Although Eddie Howe is one of those brothers who can make a tune out of someone. Who would have thought that Dan Burn will turn into this monster? I always knew that Dan Burn was a player, but not the way that Eddie Howe has turned him. So we have to see what Eddie Howe does with them. But on the face of it, the standout players for me would be Ramsey, Ilanga. Aaron Ramsdale is a sensible signing as a backup. Maybe Sue Park. Lloyd Kelly, people were chatting about him at the beginning of last season. I don't know if he's still that guy. Maybe Malik Fowl as a player, but not big enough names. Not big enough names for me. Newcastle needed to be bringing in certified players. Remember, you guys brought in Isak. We knew he was good. You guys brought in Talani. You know, you guys brought in Livramento. You know, and then you've gone to you guys brought in Ilanga, kind of. I like Ilanga personally. I know some Forest fans didn't really rate him. But then you went to some of this? Not sure. So Newcastle get a 7 out of 10, but it's still better than Everton, if you know what I mean. Big up Andy. Forest spent about 236 mil, sold 124. That's why they're sound on PSR. Makes sense, bro. Makes sense. And then Toxin says Kelly was cooking for Juventus last season. Fair enough. So he's gone from one zebra to the next. You like what I did there? Literally one zebra to the next. Let's see if Lloyd Kelly is that guy. He was good at Bournemouth, I'm not going to lie. And Eddie Howe knows him well. If anyone can get a tune out of Lloyd Kelly, it would be him. And DJ says, I swear Lloyd Kelly sounds like a Jamaican reggae singer's name. Yes, brother, he probably is. And is Lloyd Kelly not been signed by Juve? No, I think Newcastle have him. That's what we're being told. Big up to everyone locked in, locked on. Let's smash a like. Let's get through. We're almost at the end. Let's get to the end now. So I've given Newcastle a 7 out of 10. Next on the list for 7.5 out of 10 goes to Tottenham Hotspur. My club. I think 7 out of 10. You know what? You see, this it's not about the number of signings. It's about the quality of signings. And for me, why this is a 7 out of 10, we needed a right winger. We brought in Mohamed Kudus. We needed a 6. We brought in Polina. These are players, arguably, that can get into anyone's team. We brought in Javi Simmons for the 10. And we brought Mwani, who can play on the left. And he can play up top. Now, I know that we brought in Kota Take, who's a Japanese international. Don't sleep on this brother. This brother is good and he's got a lot of potential. And we made Matthias Tell permanent. I'm not going to lie. This is what made the transfer dusty. It would have been 8 out of 10 had we not signed Tell and had we signed Savinho. Definitely, if we had signed Savinho, I'm telling you, with this list, it's an 8.5 out of 10. However, why I've rated it so high is because the level of player. Yeah. Kudus starts, Polina starts, Xavi starts, Mawani starts. These are proven international players. Even last season, for those shaking their bum, Mawani got like 10 goals for Juventus. He's a madman and 3 assists in like 20 games. That's not bad returns in 20 games. Like people are saying he's dusty. Remember, Mawani is a French international. My man chills with Mbappe and Dembele. Let's not poo-poo this guy. He just needs to be under the right management. Someone needs to put an arm around his shoulder. But I think Spurs fans, it's been a minute that we've had a transfer window like this. Danzo is missing. Yes, we made Danzo permanent. I did pull it and then I took it out. Yes, and if you add Danzo to Take, to Kudus, to Polina, to Simmons, to Mawani, it's got to be 7.5. Because for me, Danzo is a solid player. Danzo, if you see him in the starting lineup, you don't bat an eyelid. You only bat because you're like, where's Romero? But really, you know Danzo can do a job. You know Kudus can do a job. You know Polina can do a job. We've already seen it. You know Xavi Simmons, even if Kulusevski and Madders comes back, Simmons starts ahead of them. And he can play on the left-hand side. He played on the left for RB Leipzig. And I think that's the thinking with Spurs. We know that when we get Kuli back or we get Madders back, we can move Simmons to the left. And Mawani is better than Solanke and Richarlison up top. That's a fact. Regardless of whether he's on form or not, he is better than these brothers. Now, Big J is smoking Budgie Banton. He's saying 6 at best. How can you? These are big names. If Arsenal, Mawani is better than Madueke. I even think Mawani might even be better than Gyökeres. Legit. Like, stop this rubbish. Stop this rubbish. Toki says 2 out of 10 for me personally. So much dust. And Xavi Simmons is unknown. Xavi Simmons is not unknown. People have known about Xavi Simmons from when he was born. Don't lie to yourself. This brother went to La Masia. Jose says, Deji, not sure whether it affects your score, but Lloyd Kelly signed for Juventus from Newcastle after his successful loan this summer. Is it? Yeah, bro. Take him out. That would have an impact, to be honest. Well, I'll still give Newcastle 7, but maybe I still will probably leave them where they are. I'll probably still leave them where they are. I don't think it affects it that much. But thank you, Jose, for checking that out. But for me, I think Tottenham is a 7.5. I think I'm definitely happy with 5 signings. One of them not listed being Danzo, because those brothers have strengthened our first team. You see them, you don't bat an eyelid. I think Mawani would be a very big player for Spurs. And then obviously we signed Thomas Frank. Geo84 says big thing Tottenham signed was Frank. Toki says this is a 6.5. Don't lie to yourself, bro. Do not lie to yourself. It might not be many players, but when you see Xavi Simmons and Mawani linking up with Kudus on that pitch, it's looking very long. But I do agree with the earlier comment. I do think Tottenham is still light on the left-hand side. We needed a left winger badly, and we didn't bring one in. I don't really want to be seeing Mawani on the left. I don't want to be seeing Richarlison on the left. I don't want to see Odegaard on the left. I don't want to see Tell Me What You Want on the left. I wanted a Savinho on the left or a Semenyo on the left. Had they done that, I would have given Tottenham 9 out of 10. But 7.5. Do these players improve Tottenham's 11? Yes, they do. And I reckon just these signings alone means that Tottenham are in and around the top 6 for this season. Just on those signings. And that's what you got to look at. You got to look at the impact to the squads. That's why I rated Crystal Palace so low. That's why I rated Bournemouth so low. What is the impact on their squads with the signing? No impact. This is impactful. Whereas Newcastle have remained the same. Whereas Everton, they've improved their squad, even though it's 7 out of 10. So I hope you guys get my logic. Next on the list, though, I think you guys have guessed it. If Tottenham, I've given Arsenal an 8, but really and truly, I think it's a 6.5 personally. Arsenal get an 8 because they got Eze over the line. Are you smoking Budgie Banton? Kepa is an all-right backup keeper. We know Zubimendi is class. Norgard is backup to Zubimendi. Mascara is better than I thought. Look at the job he did on the weekend against Liverpool. Didn't put a foot wrong. You can see that they've got a player in Mascara there. So you see me, I can be unbiased. I don't like your club. I hate your club. But Mascara is a good signing. Gyökeres for me is a Sesko in disguise. He's a bum. He's more focused on his hair follicles than he is touching the ball. What's wrong with him? There are moments in time I just look at him and think, I just want to shave your head off. I think, though, bringing in Madueke as cover for either wing is a sensible signing. It made a lot of sense in terms of strengthening. Eze, great signing for Arsenal. Interesting to see where Eze gets deployed. And Piero Incapi is a great signing from Leverkusen. So for me, you've got to give these brothers 8 out of 10. I don't like Arsenal. I hate their guts. But even I can see they have strengthened. Mascara, great signing. Zubimendi, great signing. Eze, great signing. Those are the 3 great signings. That's what tips it to 8. Madueke is all right. Gyökeres, you needed to fill the number 9 role. You got a number 9. Is he that guy? Only time will tell, but you filled it. Norgard as a cover for Zubimendi in the 6, he can do a job. Yeah, you got Kepa, he can do a job in terms of backup to Reyes. Not bad. It's not bad, but I felt like Arsenal needed a big name. You needed like a Savinho on the left. You needed like a Rodrigo on the left-hand side, and I would have given Arsenal a 10. But this for me is an 8. And I'm not. Elvis says he thinks 8 as well. I think it's an 8, bro. It's definitely 8. This is me being not biased. And that's what matters, scoring goals and lots of goals. They need to score goals. We're not sure Gyökeres is going to score that many goals. No way at 8. Most of the players they signed are not impactful. It's a 5 at best. Do you reckon? I think it's an 8. I think Eze starts for Arsenal over Odegaard once he gets going. I think Gyökeres, they've got a 9. They filled that gap. They brought in Madueke as cover for Saka or for Martinelli. I think an 8 is fair. And thank you. Toxic says 8 is fair. I think it's an 8, bro. I think we can't shake our bum for these guys. When you really break it down, 3 of those players are players that really move the needle. The rest are just squad players for me. Freddie says Hincapi should be their starting left back. He is good. He is good, bro, but I think they would prefer to play the way that Calafiori started the season. It's going to take a lot to displace him. So I think Arsenal have strengthened. I'm not going to lie. I think the one area that Arsenal have strengthened that we're not sure is sound is Gyökeres. I think everywhere else is pretty solid. But the Gyökeres signing is crazy. I don't think he's that guy. I've been saying it. You guys have been saying that I'm bantering. I'm not bantering. I think he's rubbish. Let me just put it out there, and we will see whether he delivers. Archer says, Woolwich and Chelsea excessively friendly relationship needs to be investigated. Brother, the way Chelsea pulled down their pants for Arsenal, something dodgy in the location is definitely going on. You know that. And big up my brother Yassa in the building. Toki, who on that list is world class? He's asking you a question, bro. Because you're saying 20 out of 10. Billy says Madueke is rubbish. And imagine, Madueke ain't good, but he's better than Martinelli. Just hold that, Arsenal fans. Hold that. And look, I need to fly through because it's already coming up to midday. I can't believe it already. Next on the list is Chelsea. I gave Chelsea an 8.5. I'm not going to lie to you. This probably would have been a 9 if they didn't sign Garnacho. Let me just be real. Esteval, what a player. Young player, Brazilian. He's got a lot of quality there. I think Delap made sense for me. João Pedro, what a signing from Brighton. And then you've got the likes of Gittins. You know, they brought Pedro in earlier in the summer. In January. They got, no, is it last season, I swear. They got Hato as well. You know, Chelsea have made some really good signings. So I've given them an 8.5. For me, the only reason why it's not a 9.5, I felt like Chelsea needed a proper gunman up top. I felt like you needed like an Isak or an Ekitike. If you brought in Ekitike, Chelsea would be favourites alongside Man City and Liverpool. Well, no longer Man City, but they would be alongside Liverpool for the league. But Delap, good player, but I don't think he's the striker. Just like I'm saying, Gyökeres is not the striker. I think it's an 8.5 for Chelsea. Yeah, so you're the Chelsea fan. He said, Deji be very nice with 8.5. more like a 6. Nah, I actually think you strengthen, bro. Delap, Esteval, you've got what you have is unbelievable strength and depth in that Chelsea team. And so I do think that Chelsea are stronger. So I'm giving them an 8.5. Elvis says Chelsea is similar to Arsenal. I would, yeah, maybe you have a shout there. There is a shout for that. But I just feel like overall squad, overall signings, Chelsea fans are shaking their bum. There is an argument. Maybe Arsenal is an 8.5 because they brought in Hincapi right at the end. But yeah, I think if Ekitike was at Chelsea, though, that is an upgrade on the lap all day long. So I'm giving Chelsea 8.5 out of 10. Lastly, Elvis says Gittins is Brennan Fraser in The Mummy Returns. Dusty. That's very funny. And Toxic says 7 for Chelsea. I think it's slightly better than that. Let's go. Lastly, last two. Man City next. I actually thought Man City had a good transfer window. Doesn't matter what happens in their club, but I think Donnarumma is a shrewd signing. James Trafford maybe not quite ready to start. I think Aït-Nouri is a baller. We know about Reinders. We know about Cherki. I was shaking my bum for City. I think they had a good transfer window. Whether Pep gets it right with these players, I don't know what's going on. I think the issue with City is less about the players and more about the manager. I think Pep has run his course. Do you get what I'm saying? I think they need to bring in a new brother. So for that reason, I would say that Man City might need a change. But I think these are good players, though. Why are you guys giving City 6 and 5 out of 10? These are ballers, bro. Reinders is a baller. You can already see the impact on the midfield. Aït-Nouri, you can already see Cherki. These are madmen. Donnarumma, this is a good signing. I'm not saying they're going to go and win the league, but these are very good signings. You would take these signings in a heartbeat. Definitely. Most of these players starts for every club in the top 6. Cherki starts for Arsenal. Reinders starts for Arsenal. Aït-Nouri starts for Arsenal. Come on. Donnarumma even bloody starts. Yeah, come on. I think this is good signings. Might not do anything, but I think they are good signings, bro. So I think City got a 9 out of 10. Whether he brings the best out of them, I'm not sure. And Big J Shred says these are inflated. I don't think so, bro. I actually think that I watched City in the Club World Cup and I thought they were cold with the signings. I think the signings are cold. He just hasn't got the team chemistry right. And that, I think, is the reason. City, the team's chemistry has kind of changed with the OGs leaving. Yeah, I think it's a chemistry issue, not a player issue. And finally, the best transfer window of all time, in my opinion, is Liverpool. Liverpool. What the hell is this? Freddie saying Prep is finished. The players have listened to the same team talk for 8 years. I think that's the reason, bro. I think under another manager, under Glasner, that Man City team cooked. For me, what a window. I've given Liverpool 10 out of 10. They've got bloody Isak. Did I put Isak on here? Isak is not on there, but he should be on there. Yeah, they brought in Wirtz. They brought in Ekitike. They brought in Kerkez. They brought in Frimpong. They brought in, bro. They brought in all these ballers, bro. Mad. And obviously, I told you I did this over the weekend. So some of the things I haven't updated, but bloody hell, they got Isak in that list. Kerkez, Ekitike, Wirtz, Frimpong. I think they've had an unbelievable, and they almost got Mark Gay on this list as well. Liverpool, for me, with that Isak signing, pretty much nailed on the league. That's what they did. They have strengthened. What the hell? Wirtz hasn't got going yet, but bloody hell, I think he's great. Yeah, Elvis says they need another centre back. Maybe I agree, but I think Liverpool definitely get a 10 out of 10 for me. Maybe 9. You're right, but I think on the main bringing in Isak, what a signing! What a powerful signing. So I'm giving them a 10 out of 10. So look, there you have it. That's kind of my prediction based on the transfer window so far. I think Liverpool had the best one by far. And I think Arsenal, City didn't do too bad. Chelsea, so I expect those teams to be at the top. Tottenham did okay, but it could have been better. But yeah, that's my predictions. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Some of you are saying it's overinflated. Some of you saying not good enough. Let me know where you would play some of those teams and why. And unfortunately, until then, let's catch up later on. Works is on Fraud Watch. I think Slot's on Fraud Watch. Until then, thank you very much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we are out.